Hey friends, Shawn here with Manly Made Minute, and welcome back to another designer team series for Include a Thank You by Desiree Tangles. And we're getting out those tangled ornaments again today. And if you haven't been following my 30-day watercolor challenge, I've recently switched up my products that I'm using in my last 6 or 7 days here of my challenge. And I'm watercoloring with Reinkers. And I realized that they react with water and react much differently than all the other mediums that I've used for watercolor pencils, the pan colors, shimmer watercolors. They react so much different and they bloom so much differently that I thought, I gotta try these on these ornaments. The design of these ornaments is perfect just to get a nice bloom out and just let this shade where it wants to shade when we do this. So we're gonna give it a try on one of the ornaments today, and I've got it already gold embossed. I've done some prep work, so this isn't too long of a video, hopefully. But before we go down to my down camera, if you are new here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Thumbs up and a comment are greatly appreciated. I do answer my comments. Any tips, tricks you can give me, or if you like my content and you want to see me try something else, go ahead and comment. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're not new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and keep coming back. And I've got lots of videos coming out, and we're doing some holiday push. And we're going to go down to my down camera. Before we get started, I just want to make everyone aware these products were given to me free of charge. I do not get any kickback on sales with these, so if you go over to includeathankyou.com, check out these sets. I know she's got them in stock. I am just more than thrilled to show you all the different options with these as a design team member for Desiree Tangles. So let's get started. Let's just see what we're going to do today. This will be a relatively quick process, a quick technique to do. So I'm using the Tangled Ornaments set. I've been using this one, and I've also been using the Tangled Leaves for Holiday, which was her fall, brand new fall set. But this one is fantastic. I have a release video that I did on a live, and I've done a couple videos now on these, so there's lots of options out there to do these and how to use these. So we're going to do some quick watercoloring today. I'm going to zoom in so we can get nice, close, and personal, and you can kind of see what I'm doing. I have already embossed this in Reinker's gold fine powder embossing powder. I did fine because of the detail on some of this. I wanted this not to get too mushed up together. And then I'm going to use the Catherine Pooler Reinkers. I'm going a little non-traditional today for color. I was going to just do a red, but I'm like, nah, you know, I wanted to get out a color I don't use very often. That's kind of my theme lately, is just doing stuff I don't use very often, so get that to focus. I'm using the In the Park Reinker. I'm going to use probably more than likely this Melon Ice for the top piece. I might throw a little grass skirt in there. Doubt it, but we might just do that. So, haven't actually done this in watercolor, so I'm not actually sure the total color is going to turn out, but we're going to go for it. We're just going to do this little piece here, and that is it, and throw that in there. So, what you want to do, take and put some drops down, about 4 or 5 drops of your Reinker. Any Reinker is going to work just fantastic. I'm using the In the Park. All right. Now what you need to do is you need to get this really good and wet. I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper. I want this paper to be good and wet. And I'm going to pool that water on there. Then I'm going to pull that water back, but I'm not going to pull it all the way back to the paper. I'm going to leave just a little film of water on that paper. Not a pool, not a puddle, not a bubble, just a nice little thin layer of water, because this, once it hit, the Reinkers hit that water, they bloom out so nice. But you gotta have a tiny bit of water left. Don't pull it back and just have wet paper. I'm gonna hold this kind of flat, and I might have to dry in between here, but I got my clean water, and I'm gonna use the other one to wash my brush off with, but my clean water, I'm gonna stay within the confines of this design here first and do this section first. So I'm pooling this on here. So I've got it puddled. I've got a big bubble of water in between this embossing, and I'm setting this on the water to get this paper wet. Okay, so we want this to pool and puddle to get this wet to start. Then I'll start pulling this back with a thirsty brush and leave what I need. Okay? So just get that good and wet. Now I'm drying off. So I have a thirsty brush, and I'm going to pull this off, leaving a nice little thin skim, like a little ice skating rink of water. Okay? I don't need the big puddle. I just need a little ice skating rink of water. And I'm kind of having to look at the side here with the glare to see how much I have. Alright, now I'm going to get the tip of my brush wet, not soaking wet. Dip just a little bit in this. And now I'm going to put this right down in these crevices and let this bloom out. And I'm just letting this, it will not bloom this nicely if you don't have that little skating rink of water. Okay, if you get somewhere you don't want it, don't fret. It will pull back. So I'm going to get that wet back in here and pull this back, because I might do this a different color. So I'm going to try to pull this back as quickly as possible before that soaks in. It's almost like erasing it. Just with a wet brush, keep using wet and dab off dry and keep pulling that back. This probably would look good with a pink or even a yellow. I might use yellow. Alright, I got one more little area here that I missed, so I'm going to get this re-wet here just again and then pull that back, because if this pulls back and dries back too much, you won't get that nice little bloom off of it. So just re-wet it if you haven't gotten back to that little spot, okay? And then just let that start to pull out naturally. And you can see that pulling out, okay? And if you want to intensify this, go back and intensify it just a little bit. Pull this back again. I'm just adding a little bit more water back onto this because I'm going to dab just a little bit more color, just to get this a little bit more intense. Like so. It's that easy. It is literally that easy. And I'm just now doing this on all of these again because I just want a little bit more intense color on that. So I'm re-wetting, pulling back to my ice skating rink. And then just let it bloom out. Same thing here. Gonna get my ice skating rink back. Pull some of that back. And then add my color back into those little corners so that blooms back out. If it's not blooming quite where you want it, add a little water in front of it to give it a little river to follow. And then my last little section here. And then you can see that kind of went all the way to the end there, so I'm going to pull some of that back because I want some natural highlighting in there. That is my first layer. Nice and soft little bloom on that, and I just absolutely love that. I'm going to grab another color, and I think I'm just going to go more with a pink in there, but I want just a really light pink. So I'm going to just try, I think we're going to try the It's a Girl. Okay? It's a Girl. Just a little bit here. Now, same thing. I'm going to go back through now in these little pieces and get these little pieces wet and pulled up. And then I'll pull back to my skating rink. Hope that makes sense. Just think of a nice little thin layer. If you're not from anywhere where it freezes, may not know what a skating rink is. Sorry. Alright. Pulling some of this pool off here a little bit. Now I'm going to get just a little bit wet on that tip of my brush. I'm going to go right into here and just pull this in until that starts to bloom out, because I need some of that color from the back here. and then just let that bloom out on its own. Don't worry about brushing all that to the end. Just dab into those crevices and let it bloom out and leave it. Don't mess with it too much. Don't be tempted, okay? And then I'm going to pull back just a little bit, so as I pull back I'll get a little bit better highlight off of that. And then I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to do this pink all inside here, okay? So I'm going to do that same concept. I'm going to get this good and wet. Now I've learned with this, do this in sections because it'll start drying back too much on you and you've got to re-wet and then it blooms where you don't want it to bloom. So I do this in sections so that I have time to do what I need to do with it, okay? Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into here, dab in here so it blooms this way. I'm going to draw a little line so it blooms out this way. Okay? I want this to have this rounded kind of look. Alright, I've got my big pool. Now I'm going to pull this back to my skating rink. I'm just using a thirsty brush and pulling that back. Okay, leaving a nice little rink. Now I'm going to take that pink and I'm going to dab in here. So that pulls out. Okay, if I need a little extra water to get that to pull out, then go for it. Okay, now I'm going to get my little bit of water back into this little piece here. And now I'm going to take and I'm just going to draw a line. And let that kind of just pool out how it wants to pool out. Like so. That's it, okay? If you want to soften that, just go ahead and soften that. Get a nice little clean brush with a little water on it. Soften that little area out so you get that nice highlight in there to get this round effect. Okay, so now I'm going to go back through. I'm going to do this other half the same way. Get it good and wet. Good pool of water on there. Let that soak in. I'm going to pull back to my skating rink. Keep drying my brush off of my paper towel over the side here so it gets it thirsty. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit more water in here so I get a good bloom off of that. Alright, same thing. Grab my pink. Dab that in here so that starts pulling out. Okay. Now I'm going to go through and just add my little line right along that edge so that it starts to bloom out the other direction. And that is it. That's all it is. It's seriously as easy as that. Play with it just a little bit if it makes you a little uncomfortable on how to get it to bloom and how much to lay down. Again, I've done this 30-day challenge where I'm kind of learning what I need to do per each product, right? Okay, so up here, I'm going to get this pulled up inside these little circles. And I'm just going to go through and dot my color all the way through here. Pooling it, getting it good and wet. Now I'm just going to pull that back. I'm leaving a little extra water on this one because I need this to bloom over that embossing. So this is the melon ice, like a yellow-green, and I'm just going to dot all over this to get this just to bloom out. Probably going to mix a little bit of my in the park on this one to carry that color up. I'm not going to get that other green out. Alright, pull some of this back. Dot that yellow green. Now I'm going to pull in some of this just a little bit. It's still wet. if it's too dotty, just kind of work it out just a little bit with a little wet brush. Just like so. So I'm kind of melting these two colors together just a little bit, okay? I just wanted this to have this little variegation to it. Just intensify that just a tiny, tiny bit there. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to leave that as is. All right. That's my card front. We're going to add our string to this. We're going to do the inside of the card and then a symbol. So let's just set these aside. Key to this is, oh, hang on. I took my colors up, didn't I? Let's just get some color back here. I'm going to take my little in the park. I forgot my little circles here, so we're just going to dab that on those little circles. Like so. There's lots of detail on these Zentangle stamps. So if you like little detail things, these are awesome. Okay, let me just zoom up here a little bit. That's it. It's such a soft little effect. Now, what I want to do is I want to carry that theme in to the inside. Okay, so I'm going to use the Ziggy Zaggy Curly Q branch, we'll call it. I'm going to pull my same stamp. So I'm going to actually use the In the Park. So I pull those same colors to that inside, okay? So let's find my In the Park here. Let's see. In the Park, probably should have grabbed this before I started, right? Well, I assume I have it in the park because I've got the refill for it. That is funny. Found it at the back of my drawer. Alright, see, I told you I hardly use these colors. It's at the back of the drawer. That's why I wanted to get these out. Alright, In the Park. I've already placed this so that that goes across the bottom of my inside of my card. I just want to give a little bit of design into the inside here. So just stamp that across. That is it, okay? That's the In the Park that we used on the front. So, set that aside. We're going to get this back out, okay? Let me just clean off this so I can remove it. We're going to get, this set comes with a hook and it also comes with a string. Haven't used the hook a whole ton. I think I'm going to use it today because it's close enough. So there's a hook and a string. So let's get out that hook. Just place it right as if it is looped around that ornament and hook it onto the tree branch. We're going to grab that. Since I used gold embossing powder, I'm going to use my gold Catherine Pooler ink. This is a pigment ink, so it's really thick. Might take once or twice here to stamp that on. That first one looks good. That's it. Just needed one little shot on that. Okay. And now I'm going to take my sentiment. I think I'm just going to do a sentiment in black because I need it to pop. So we're just going to go a simple Noel right up here. I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx, pardon my head until I get this nice and straight on here. The back of my hat at least. Sticking to my fingernail. Come on, come on. We got it. We're going to get it. Okay, grab that. We're just going to go with my VersaFine because it's not a big stamp, and I like VersaFine on my sentiment with my sentiments. One more to get it nice and crisp. And I'm just tapping that down, not a ton of pressure. All right, there you go. Let's assemble this great card. Let me grab my card base, fell on the floor. Okay. Make sure you got a clean surface as you go through these phases of your cards so that we don't start messing up our card when we're almost done, which I tend to do a fair amount, and then I try to cover it up with bling or something else. Okay, I have pre-cut this glittered cardstock. It's smooth, it doesn't come off. Gold just to match this. So we're just going to layer this together. My card base is an A2 card base. My gold layer is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and then I cut it 1/8 inch less so that it doesn't go to the edge of my card. That is just personal preference. I say it over and over and over. I just don't like things to go to the edge of my card. I find it easier to line up and do it this way, and then it gives me just a little extra border on my card. Got a little smudge there. I might actually have to splatter this just a little bit, I think, because I just smeared some stuff. I'm going to take my watercolor. If you get smudges from watercolor, take your water and soak that up, and it should just diminish, and then pull that back. I got some over here. It should wash up as long as it's not too intense and hasn't soaked in too much. So I got a little bleeding over on this side. And if you have to, you can always add splatter, right? Splatter is our friend to cover up this kind of stuff, that is for sure. And we may just do some splatter on this one. We're going to add just a tiny bit of splatter just to cover up some of that. Got a little dirty, but that's okay. Go with it, right? We're just going to go with it. All right, let me grab, I've got this little pan set that I bought. That is, got it on Amazon, and it's got great intense colors in it. So we're going to use this to splatter with. And I'm just going to go gold because I've got gold on everything, and this gold in the corner here is nice and pigmented. Get that so it just starts picking up some of that gold on there. All right. Now we're going to get some heaviness up here in this corner. Get it where I got my little smudges. And no one will be the wiser in the end. Okay, I think that covers what I needed to cover. Let's just dry this back before I touch it and glue it to the base. Again, this is another one. I've said it on all these kind of Christmas cards I've been making, but I'm trying to make stuff that you can make in bulk that's easy, that you can just do it in phases and chunks, right? So when you do this, you're going to want to emboss everything. Get all that done. Then cut all your bases, cut all your mat, get all that done. Stamp in your hook, stamp in the Noel, then do the watercoloring. Get it in phases so it's so much easier to do. It's lifting up a little bit, but we'll just reglue that down. Get those splatters good and dry. Got a little splatter on the outside, but that's okay, it's gold. It doesn't, it just blends out. I'm not that picky, to be honest. You could have taken this off and resplattered it if you are, but I'm just seriously not that picky. I'm particular on certain things when I do my cards. Sometimes like this stuff with the splatter and things, I'm really, honestly, just not that picky. It's not that big of a deal to me. Alright, I'm going to put a little more glue right back behind here before I put this down, because we're going to put a weight on here to get this to stick together. Okay, you'll see when I put this on now, I'll have that little 1/8 of an inch border from cutting this just slightly smaller than my card. And that's just the look that I like with mine. Okay, let's just get that to stick. All right, stick, stick, stick. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me. I'm going to zoom this back out so we can kind of get a good look at this card here. Appreciate you all. Go ahead and check out Desiree Tangles at includeathankyou.com. Great stamp sets. This is the holiday Tangled Ornaments set one more time. Okay, I've used this whole set is this set. There's nothing I've added from another set of hers. There you have it. Nice shimmer on that embossing. Nice soft colors. Pink is kind of seems to be the color of the year. Pink and peach are the Christmas colors this year, it seems like, that you see in stores. But really easy card to do. And then we added just that little element right there on the inside. You could stamp a sentiment on the inside too. So there you have it. Thank you all so very much for hanging with me. Thank you for checking out some of this holiday stuff by Desiree Tangles. Appreciate you all. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you then.